Good morning, everyone. My name's Sam Stark, and this is my colleague Brianna Hollis. We're back again for our weekly deep dive into aspects of the Raul Meza case. Just to recap, if you guys haven't checked in with us before, Raul Meza is a convicted murderer and now faces charges in the 2019 death of his neighbor Jesse Fraga, and his neighbor back in East Austin, which was Gloria Lofton. That murder happened in 2019. So the Austin Police Department arrested him in May after he called and confessed to the murder of Jesse Fraga, and then he later implicated himself in the death of Gloria Lofton. So again, for each one of these episodes, we're going to dive deep into a specific aspect of the case against Raul Meza. Last week, we spoke about Meza's early criminal history, and we also played an interview that Brianna did with Meza's old therapist.
And that interview is going to come into play today with some stories from KXAN investigator Avery Travis, who's also been looking into this story. And today, guys, we are going to look into Meza's actions and life while out on parole.
That's right. So we've talked about how Meza was on parole after the 1975 aggravated assault. That's when he committed aggravated assault at a 7-Eleven. He took the manager of that shop, took him to the back of the shop and shot him with a shotgun. That's right, Bree, right?
Correct.
And so what happened after he was arrested in Paige's murder?
So this part of the storyline is honestly pretty crazy to me. So he only ended up serving 11 years of his 20-year sentence for the murder of Kendra Paige because he got out on, quote, good behavior. And he accumulated that good behavior credit by taking vocational classes in prison for barbering and mechanics. And he also was talking to staff there about how he was a born-again Christian and had found his faith.
Right. And I mean, would something like that happen today?
No, it's because the state law back then was a lot more lenient when it came to this. That has since changed, but back then it was required to give inmates this good behavior credit.
Right. And so we are going to hear from one of our colleagues, Avery Travis. She has done a lot of reporting on what happened with his parole, how he was able to get out so early after murdering an 8-year-old. So do you want to talk a little bit about what Avery's done?
Yeah, so in this story that we're going to look at first, it's kind of centered around the controversy that occurred when he was released. One, people didn't want him to be released in general. The murder of Kendra Paige was awful, it was brutal, it was high profile, people knew who he was. So one, they didn't want him out at all. Two, obviously people didn't want him moving into their neighborhoods. And Avery actually ended up digging up a lawsuit that explains how he met one of his alleged victims from earlier this year, Jesse Fraga, in 1993 when he was originally released on parole. If we want to go ahead and play that story.
Yep, sure.
Buried in a decade-old court record, a lawsuit tells the story of a couple trying to do good.
Nobody else would take care of him.
We want him out! We want him out!
After hearing public pushback and protests about the release of convicted killer Raul Meza from prison, Jesse and Tilly Fraga began supporting him, inviting him to Bible studies, trying to get him a job and housing.
I remember actually very vividly talking to him, and why did you want to do this? And it was out of his own Christian belief. He and his wife had a history of reaching out to people that most other folks would not be near.
Founder of the Texas Civil Rights Project and attorney Jim Harrington says he was moved when Fraga came to him and explained he and his wife continued to support Meza, even financially, in and out of prison. That is, until the state added a condition of release, barring him from any contact with the couple. It was an unusual case for the project.
Intense religious motivation, and that you have the state saying, well, I'm sorry, but you can't exercise your religious belief.
The project filed their lawsuit, arguing the state's, quote, draconian conditions weren't imposed on any other parolees at the time and infringed on the constitutional rights of the couple and of Meza, listed in the lawsuit as John Doe.
But I had this conversation with him about whether this was really wise thing to do.
Harrington says he believed Jesse, who had worked in the parole system for years, knew the risk, but wanted to open his home anyway.
Such compassion for people that most folks in our society would not have. It hurt.
Avery Travis, KXAN Investigates.
And great job on Avery for digging that up, because I know, Sam, you and I talk a lot about the murder allegations regarding the Fraga case. I know we both covered that, for on air and online, and just chilling to know that, or, at least like according to what these records show, that he knew this person. This was a family that took him in, and now he's accused of killing him just this year, 30 years or so after they met.
Yeah, and I think that we all want to believe that people can be rejuvenated even after doing something so horrific, but in this case it just seems as though that never really happened with Meza. So after his release in 1993, how long did he stay out?
He violated his parole the next year, was sent back to prison until 2002.
Yeah. And I think this is also a good time to mention, so he was convicted of murdering Kendra Page, and he actually admitted to sexually assaulting her, but they never convicted him of sexual assault as well, which is another fascinating aspect of this case.
Yeah, and Avery's going to dig a little bit into that in the next story of hers that we're going to show. But when he did violate parole in 94, he was supposed to be on lockdown between 7 p.m. and 6 a.m. And during an overnight spot check, a parole officer realized he was missing. Meza said he left for 15 minutes to go get some cigarettes, and parole officer didn't buy that and ended up finding out that he was unaccounted for about 3.5 hours. Meza had a parole hearing and then said that he would never do that again. And 8-year-old Kendra Page's father didn't like the sound of that, and we have some sound from him from back then too.
Yep, and here is Kendra Page's father.
It's very simple for people to say, yeah, I won't do it again, and then go back out and repeat their crimes. And I'm sorry, but I just didn't feel sorry for the guy when he had done what he had done to my daughter.
So yeah, after this, officials revoked Meza's parole and sent him back to prison, where he ended up staying until 2002.
Yep, and just like his original release, there was controversy this time with the community, and this time Meza also pushed back against the criminal justice system, which is another angle of this that Avery has covered extensively.
Yeah, so we're going to go ahead and take a look at Avery Travis's investigation.
When convicted murderer Raul Meza Jr. was released from a second stint in prison for violating the conditions of his original release, all eyes were on him.
Mesa's got to go.
The community, but also the close watch of the state's parole system. Court records show, this time with release conditions so strict that for several years Meza lived at and rarely ever left the Travis County Jail in Del Valle. He also had to comply with sex offender treatment and register as a sex offender. According to regional parole leadership, only one other person they knew of at the time faced this level of restriction.
My recommendations were to not release him. I thought he was a danger to the community.
These strict conditions supported by therapist Vivian Lewis, who interviewed Meza about Kendra Page's murder and then led one of his therapy groups at the jail. Meanwhile, others were fighting to get Meza more freedoms. The Texas Civil Rights Project helped him sue the state, arguing the conditions of release prevented him from getting a job or going to church, and branded him as a sex offender when he hadn't been convicted of rape, only murder. Back then, Texas had just established what are now called Coleman hearings, where the Board of Pardons and Paroles must review evidence before placing sex offender conditions on someone not convicted of a sex crime.
And that's what justice is built on in this country.
A judge in Meza's lawsuit ruled he had not been afforded this due process, and according to Texas attorney and parole expert Gary Cohen, it forced the state to refine how Coleman hearings were conducted. Cohen ended up representing Meza in a Coleman hearing later on.
If they had tried to help him get a job, if they had tried to help him with counseling, would he have turned out different? Could he have taken a different path? I don't know. None of us know the answer to that.
As Meza continues to make headlines, Cohen says there's no doubt his civil case impacted Texas' criminal justice system, setting precedent for future cases.
We all like and don't like some parts of the law, but I think that in Coleman and Meza, the decisions that we have advanced criminal justice by providing due process when it was lacking.
Keep in mind, Meza was originally released on parole early because of a law at the time requiring someone's time served to count for their mandatory release. But shortly after Meza's case made headlines, Texas lawmakers decided to overhaul that, allowing the parole board to deny someone's release if it believes they're a danger to the public. Around the same time, lawmakers were tackling other changes to the penal code, the prison system, and with the advent of electronic monitoring, the parole system too. We talked to a former lawmaker from back then who created what's known as super intensive supervision, one of the other conditions Meza was placed under that's still in place today.
Historically, you've had degrees of supervision of individuals, and this is provided for the most serious individuals that are under supervision.
Meza's original sentence for Kendra Page's murder expired in 2017, and now police say they believe he continued to kill. He's being held in connection with 2 murders. APD says it's eyeing him as a suspect in as many as 10 cold cases.
So again, just fascinating how much this, sorry, just had to turn off the audio, but fascinating how many ripples this case goes throughout the criminal justice system. And again, just astounding to see video of him decades ago and people fighting against his release and him staying in their neighborhoods.
Yeah, and even seeing, that video, we have to put the blurs on the side because it's so old, it doesn't fit with our system anymore. You can see the quality of it, and I think, as newsies, we get excited about seeing that kind of video just because it's visually interesting. It shows, though, in this case, how long Meza has, been this high-profile convicted murderer in the community and how much has happened in the fallout. And I'm really, grateful that we got this space to really dig into this parole history because it is just so nuanced.
Definitely. Probably one of the more complicated episodes that we have discussed so far. And we're going to continue to discuss more of the complicated aspects of this case, as well as just be ready for anything that happens while we're doing the series. Again, when he was arrested, APD said that they were looking into 8 to 10 more cold cases that Meza might be associated. We're not sure if he'll end up being connected with any of those, but we will definitely be looking to find out.
Yep, and we'll keep you updated along the way. I'm in pretty constant contact with the police department about this case.
Great. Well, thank you so much for joining us again. We will be here every Thursday at around 10:30 if you are interested in this case. Check in on Facebook Live. We'll also have the videos living on YouTube as well as in our stories on KXAN.com. So thank you so much for joining us this morning.